A group of astronomers recently announced they've measured the size of a neutron star, an object on the verge of collapsing into a black hole. They studied this star using NASA's NICER telescope right on the International Space Station. So joining us today is NICER team member, University of Amsterdam professor of astrophysics, Anna Watts, to tell us more. Good morning, maybe good afternoon to you, right?
It is. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks so much for joining us. Okay, first off, I've heard of these terms before, but kind of fill us in. What's the difference between a black hole and a neutron star?
Right. They're both dead stars. They're both born when a massive star, much heavier than our sun, reaches the end of its life and goes supernova. The core of the star then collapses in on itself. For the heaviest stars, that collapse is absolutely unstoppable. They collapse down to a point, and then you have a black hole from which not even light can escape. The slightly lighter stars collapse to neutron stars, which are more like tiny, ultra-dense planets, actually. And a teaspoon of neutron star material would weigh as much as Mount Everest.
I mean, this is just fascinating how something that small can weigh that much. So then what is the purpose that you would all want to even begin just to study these neutron stars that may be going into black holes?
Okay, so we're interested in the fundamental properties of matter, the stuff that makes up you and me and your studio and my home office. And in neutron stars, we can study what happens when that gets crushed down almost to the point of collapsing to a black hole. We absolutely cannot do this in laboratories on Earth. Neutron stars like the one we just measured are the only places we can do this.
Okay, so, I mean, just in your own personal opinion here, what do you think is a whole lot cooler, the black holes or the neutron stars? Because, I mean, they're both really, really cool to begin with anyway.
You know, this isn't even a fair fight. So black holes have the strong gravity, but neutron stars also have the strong gravity. They have ultra-high density material, they have the strongest magnetic fields in the universe, and they are the fastest spinning objects that we know. So they just win hands down every single time.
So we talked about that telescope there that's on the International Space Station, but what were you doing? Because, I mean, black holes, can you see them out there? How are you studying them?
Okay, so we're looking for X-rays, which are emitted from the ultra-hot surfaces of the stars. Now, fortunately for us, X-rays don't come through the Earth's atmosphere, but it does mean if we want to study them, we have to go into space. And the bonus of being on the space station is that we can take advantage of the infrastructure, the power, and the data transfer, and so on. What we then do is we measure these X-rays, and we use that to figure out the size of the neutron stars and what they're made of from that. So the star that we've just measured, it's about twice as heavy as the sun, but it is only 16 miles across.
I mean, how can that even be remotely possible? I mean, is that something that dense?
Exactly. It's taking everything around us and just crushing it down to the most incredible densities where we're really, really unsure of what exactly things are made of.
Okay, so I guess the big question here, because sometimes we hear about black holes and stuff in TV shows and sci-fi movies, is it something that we need to be concerned about, or is it just something way out there in space?
Well, this one is 3,500 light years away, so it's not a terribly close neighbor. You would not want a neutron star right next to Earth. So they have really strong magnetic fields, so you certainly would not want one in your vicinity. This one is perfectly far enough away to be safe.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning, filling us in with all this really cool stuff. I mean, it always fascinates me how we can see things so far away using telescopes and things of that nature. So really appreciate your time and your knowledge this morning.
Thank you.
All righty. My goodness. Great stuff right there for sure. And I tell you what, got a whole lot more neat stuff coming up here in just a couple of minutes. Ron's back with your Weather Authority forecast in just a couple of minutes.